All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Boneheads proudly presents to you. We're just back. We're back. It's me right now, but I have someone else with me, and you're going to know him from a couple shows. You're going to know him from the JCP and someone perspective, but more importantly, you're going to know him from the college football show where we used to do picks for what was it, 5 years, Cole?
Yeah, about 5
5 years.
years. Hello, everybody. Good to be back.
Cole's back. We got a face this
Uh,
time. Um, Thank you for joining me today. I know it was short notice, but I know I can always count on you if Noah's not around. So,
Absolutely.
um, well, with that little welcome, Cole, anything you want to say to the folks before we get started here?
Well, folks, buckle in, get some popcorn, and if you're not entertained, get entertained because this is gonna bring the level of hype that you have been missing in your lives.
I love it. I need the energy. But first off, let's give you the rundown today, folks. So we're not going in sequence of what's on the bottom here, but we are going to cover the MLB Divisional Series. We are going to cover NFL Week 5, just 3 games. Week 6, 3 games. We're going to cover a couple games from the college football week coming up here. We're going to talk about a couple problems in Chapel Hill. Bobby Petrino. Someone's trying to go get some gator apparently, and whatever
Yeah,
comes to our mind in the world of sports. So first, let's start this off with the division series here. Um, the Phillies lost in devastating fashion last night. Um, I'll get there in a second. The Yankees got smacked by the Blue Jays, rightfully so. The Blue Jays are the best team, I think, in the AL. Detroit and Seattle, a series tied at 2 that honestly can go any which way. Both teams are playing right now. Actually, the score
1-0
uh,
Seattle last I checked.
it is still 1-0 Seattle. And then the Cubbies Brewers will play tomorrow for game 5 of their series. That series is also tied at 2, which I'm picking. I would like the Brewers to win it. I would love to see Wilson Contreras do his thing. Um, and really just like to see a Brewers Mariners World Series. That'd be cool.
That would be unique, right? I mean, who would have predicted those two teams at the beginning of the year?
And no one. I mean, the way Milwaukee was playing at one point, people were kind of confused. Like this team's young, talented, supposed to be good, but they're not showing it. And then all of a sudden, Wisniewski comes out of nowhere. The offense picks up, and as my buddy Brandon says, the power of friendship has prevailed with the Brewers.
I love that.
So, yeah, the power of friendship is great. The Yankees, that lineup, just that's a poorly built organization. Top to bottom, there's no top prospects anywhere in almost any position. They're getting carried by Judge, Stanton, and anyone else that shows up and plays 162 games. Volpe wasn't bad, but they got carried by pitching, a decent bullpen, and playing against honestly a weak American League. The American League is weak, and it's shown the last couple of years with the product they put in the World Series. So um, now the Phillies.
Oh, here we go. The part that
Orion
everybody's been waiting for.
Orion Kirkering. I want to have a conversation for you, with you, at you. Um, I just I get it in the moment. You're thinking, I gotta stop the run, they're gonna win. But also, you're supposed to be aware that there's 2 outs, a man on first and third. I can just throw it to first to get the guy out. Granted, the ball hit off of, I'm assuming, your shoe, or it rolled up to your shoe, but you fumbled it, and then you couldn't throw a strike half the season anyways, which is why your ERA was 4 plus. I don't care what anyone says about relievers. Your ERA should not be over a 4.3, in my opinion. Um, and yeah, he pitched good for you down the stretch, but I don't care about down the stretch. It's the whole season total. The fact that 4 of us went Kirkering, we saw him warming up in the bullpen, said, "Uh-oh, that's not good," tells you something. Luzardo did great, but why was Johan Duran put out in the seventh inning? The seventh inning of a very important game. Just screw that. Screw that. But
Yeah, that was the logic, I think, there, Pat.
bring it in. All right. So as I was saying, this. What were you doing, dude? I get it. Game four. I can't. We can't lose this game. I gotta make the out. But dude, you are a professional fucking baseball player. At that fucking point, the basics of the fucking game are pick the ball up, throw it to first, and get the guy the fuck out. You live to play till on Saturday. But no, now you guys get to sit there and go to Cancun all freaking winter. I digress. I digress on that. Decent season by the Phils. I wish we had better bullpen. Um, this is the most prolific Phillies rotation ever.
I
Ever.
was just gonna ask you that. Didn't you say 22 strikeouts per more than when Hamels and all those other guys, Roy Oswalt, were there?
It was a lot. It was a lot more strikeouts. I know. I think beginning of September they had topped what Hamels, Holiday, Lee had done, like Luzardo, Suarez, and Sanchez, not counting Wheeler.
The injury right there.
Right. So like, I mean, Aaron Nola has been suspect the last 2 years, which upsets me to say because he's an LSU boy. Go Tigers. Um, but I have a hard time believing this can't be fixed because if you would just listen to a fan or two, they're going to tell you we need a bullpen, we need a guy that can play small ball. All these teams that are in right now are playing small ball. The Dodgers, yeah, they can hit it out the park, but they can also hit singles. The only thing we can apparently do is hit doubles and home runs. We've had multiple times this year with bases loaded, no outs, gone through the part of the order and not gotten a single guy in.
Well, and Pat, to your point about small ball, obviously you referenced LSU, but if you look at that team in the 2025 College World Series, like they were the kings of that stuff. Laying down a bunt when they needed to, playing situational baseball, and it worked. And I don't care about what level you're at. It always is so important to have that ability to play small, to hit a clutch bunt when you need it, to be able to move runners into scoring position. But then you look at again, and just to reference it again, the ending of the season being on a mental mistake, on an error that you don't see high schoolers make. I mean, that I think that's the point more so than anything that people are so upset about with the tragic way of the Phillies ending their season. I mean, it doesn't get any worse. I feel for you, bro.
Like I was telling Cole yesterday, or was it yesterday or today? I was like, man, I'm still hurt. Like that's I've watched a lot of devastating things in sports, and that was the most devastating one. Like North Carolina losing on that last second shot in the national championship was devastating. But this just hurt so much more. Losing to Crosby in 7 didn't hurt as much as this. So,
Yeah.
yeah, I this I believed. I think that's what it was. Schwarber was hot. Carper was starting to come around. Cassie was kind of doing things. Bohm was the hottest hitter in baseball. I should have known he was going to go cold the second they said playoffs.
Yep.
I didn't see Sosa anywhere near a lineup.
Well, and also to give the props to the Dodgers for they're a consistently great team. They've done this so many several times, and I think maybe that's what it is, the experience differential. You have a team that won the World Series, I think two recently, if I remember correctly, and then you get the Phillies, which hasn't really had that same level of success yet. They've had the talent. I just think it's upstairs, that mentality that's just might be a little bit different. And as you brought up, like even Duran coming in the seventh, when you could have went to the bullpen. You had other relievers that you could have put in that situation. So, there's so much to be questions. But, moving on really quick, I just wanted to bring up this. You brought up the Yankees a little bit. Talk about a team that it's like, what are you waiting for, right? You have the best, arguably, hitter in almost the history of baseball, and Aaron Judge, and you're wasting him. This is, I think he's 34 right now, and he doesn't have that long to go. I
He's
mean, they,
34.
they just can't piece it together right now.
He's 34. Garrett Cole's 35.
Oh, that old
Stanton's right
team's
there
getting
with
old.
him. I mean, you don't really have. I mean, you got Schlittler, who, by the way,
Right.
Yankees fans, I would be excited if I see that kid playing in pinstripes the rest of my life. As a Yankee hater, I wouldn't be mad because the Yankees are good when they got a good young phenom on the mound. That's when baseball's fun again. That's when the Yankees get fun.
So
So,
true.
but I was talking to a buddy the other day, yesterday actually, and I was saying, I said, where is it? I said it's a poorly constructed organization with an incredibly poorly constructed team. They have minimal top prospects. Yeah, they probably get coached up better once they get to the league, but they're going to have guys sitting in AAA that could do something for a long time. Um, and then I said, it's a lineup that revolves around Judge, but he's not a Jeter in these clutch situations, and there's no one there to pick up the slack from him. It's just Judge and Stanton, and if they're not good, the lineup goes with it. You can ask Volpe
Right.
to hit him. You can ask Volpe to only do so much. You can only ask Jason Dominguez to do so much. You can only ask Trevino to do so much. Like pitchers can go 6 innings, but if they're getting no run support, just ask me. I watched it happen twice this series.
Yep.
It doesn't matter what the pitcher does if you can't put runs on the board. So the Yankees have to fix a lot. Have to
Yeah,
fix
they
quite
do.
a bit in that organization to get good. I don't think it's all Boone. I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off saying that. I don't think it's all Boone. I think it's the front office more than Boone, but Boone's has done some pretty stupid things to compound the issues on that team. And as the manager, you're supposed to know your issues and relay it. Like I was Derek. Like there's no Cano, there's no Teixeira, there's no Posada, there's no Swisher, there's no Hideki Matsui. There's none of those guys on this team that they're batting 275 all year, 265. They haven't had the best home run year, but they still hit X amount of singles, X amount of doubles, still drove in 90 runs, struck out
Well, and
120 times. That's not bad. But most of this team, you're just like, bro, come on, guys.
Pat, the thing with that, and you know it better than most people, out of anybody I've known, you're the baseball guy. And it's just, sometimes you run into a buzzsaw. And quite honestly, I think that's what we see in the Blue Jays. Like these guys, if you guys haven't watched many Blue Jays games, which I must admit, throughout the year I didn't see a lot, but in the playoffs, oh my goodness, I've never seen a team so together. If you look at it, it's truly, all for one. And I think that's the dangerous thing that, everybody wants to talk about the Dodgers and the Phillies being the World Series. I was one of those people, but look out for this Blue Jays team. And I think they're a little, disrespected too. I don't think there's a lot of people really buying into the thing of, the Blue Jays could legitimately win the World Series. I think there's still questions about that.
Yeah, and Vladdy Jr. was playing with some swag this series, man. He hates the Yankees as much as I do, apparently, because that boy was hitting baseballs far. Like that home run pimp job the other night was just a thing of beauty. I was so happy he did it. I like Vlad Jr. You know me. I'm a big fan of his dad's. You know that. But
Oh yeah.
I think Vlad's good. I thought he was overhyped for a bit, but the kid is he's proven me wrong, and I'm happy he is. I love Vlad. Love his son. They're great. Um, if I'm the Red Sox, I want to touch on something quick. If I'm the Red Sox, I'm fixing the defense big time because they let early down in that wild card series. That early kid,
Yeah,
they
they
had to
did.
throw, they let him down. Plain and simple. That's all I got to say on that. Um, Padres, Padre. You can't blame the refs on that one, guys.
Oh
Sorry.
no,
As much as I would love to blame the umpires,
you can't do it. No,
no, you can't go after
and
him either after a game.
and you gotta also give respect to the Cubs too, because this is a team, and I'm sorry to jump around here a little bit, but I just wanted to bring this up. You know, it, Chicago is just a bunch of fighters right now, and I think they've been back against the wall, kind of us against the world mentality, and they've showed it these last few series where you're going down 0-2 against Milwaukee, having that big showing against a really good Padres team, and the fact that they were able to outlast it and at the depth and what Council has done there, it's very exciting baseball, and I don't think I'm near Chicago. I can't remember a time aside from maybe 2016 where you see that crowd, that energy like they had at these few games that they've had at Chicago. So, but yeah, going back to the Padres, they shot themselves. I mean, quite honestly, they had one game in particular where they showed up and they looked good, and then everything else, it's just a lot of inconsistency with
Oh,
that lineup. Yeah,
yeah, that's been their problem though. That's been their killer. But we're
absolutely.
gonna move subjects here, folks. We're gonna go to our Week 5 NFL Week 5 review. Now, this has been a crazy season. A lot of crazy stories. I know we're kind of coming back to y'all in a weird spot of the season, but this is probably the best time for us to come back. Hockey just started. NASCAR playoffs are incredible. College football has been absolutely insane this year. We'll get there. Um,
Right.
I mean, and the NFL has been no lack of surprises. So with that, we're going to cover a couple games here. Those I got to get back to my list here. Sorry, folks, I'm a little out of practice. First up on the docket is going to be our Raiders Colts game from last week, where the Indianapolis Daniel Jones led Colts hung a 40 spot on the 1-4 Geno Smith led Raiders. Hey, Ashton Genty's starting to get more carries. That's a plus over there. But I mean, you guys had no sacks. You had 2 tackles for loss. You had 3 pass deflections and 3 QB hits. What are you doing? Like, what are you guys doing? And then Geno Smith was 25 of 36 for 228 yards with 2 picks, with a QBR of 19.3. But then you had Daniel Jones on the other end, 20 of 29. I know we talked about this briefly earlier. 20 of 29, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Now, Daniel Jones for the year has 1,290 yards, 6 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He also, mind you, he leads the league in QBR. He's third in total yards passing. Is this I want to ask you this before we get into I get more in a breakdown of this. Actually, screw it. We're just going to go into it in general.
Let's do it.
Is this because of the Colts O line, or is this a philosophy change that helped Daniel Jones out? And he's given. Sorry, my cat knocked something over.
Oh, you're good.
Knocked over my freaking Benjamin CD. Is this a philosophy change that's helping, or is it Daniel Jones has always been this good? He has time to make decisions. He's got a really really good run game in Jonathan Taylor, who does his thing, and a defense that's just getting after people. Man, is this the Daniel Jones that you and me saw at Duke?
Well, and I think you bring up a good question, because if you look at the legitimacy of the Colts right now, I know this more so. I'll circle back to Daniel Jones in just a second, but the Colts are really starting to piece it together. It looks like you have, to your point, a really good run game, a defense that has always been there, but now they're getting to show it on a bigger level, and they have the offense to back it up. Now, for Daniel Jones, I think you're right. I think this is the Daniel Jones to where he's used to it, to where, he doesn't necessarily have to be Superman. And I'm not saying he did that with the Giants, but I'm saying, I think it was such a learning curve for him, such a, maybe kind of devil on your shoulder moment that's like, okay, you have to do a little bit more and a little bit more and kind of like, if I can't get it, I'm gonna force it, and it's just not gonna work. But here, I think you got a perfect balance that suits his play. He's able to use Jonathan Taylor that'll line the run game to the advantage, and then utilize what we all saw at Duke. And then also, why the defense, why I brought that up is because if you look, they're able to make shorter fields. They're able to take any sort of stress off his shoulders to where he's like, okay, I didn't score on this drive. That's all right. My defense has my back. Now I can settle in, focus on the next play. I think there might have been some of that missing in New York for him, just kind of that full circle team moment. And not to mention, or well, are we going to talk more about the other quarterbacks a little bit later? Should I save that?
I mean, you go ahead, go off on your thing.
Okay, cool. So, and I also think this is a message to us fans, right? We have to come to the understanding just because you're drafted at out of college, top 10 pick, does not mean you're going to be a phenomenal quarterback right away. I think we're finally getting back to the understanding to where it's like, okay, we don't need these players to press and be something they're not. Maybe they take a year, maybe they take two, but when they find their stride, look at Sam Darnold. He's another example of this. Look at
Baker.
Oh, who's yeah, Baker. Baker Mayfield's another good one with this. I mean, all throughout the league, and it's just like the people who gave up on Anthony Richardson already. They're like, oh, he's not any good. He had a rough first few years. It's like, again, watch. He might go to somewhere. Imagine if he goes to the Ravens in that offense. I mean, he'll be back to what we saw at Florida. So, I think it's a lot of the fit, but I also think it's a lot of give these kids time. It doesn't come right away. Football is one of those things. Physicality's different, scheming's different. I mean, if a defense figures out a quarterback within the first 5 weeks, they have to be able to have time to adjust. And now we're seeing the fruits of that. So I think it's a little bit of everything that's helped Daniel Jones be that quarterback that we saw do.
Yeah, I'll agree there. And I just want to say this. Danny Dimes is being Danny Dimes again. It makes me happy to see that because nothing I want nothing better than all my former guys to do their thing. I praised Saquon last year, even though for some reason they're not using you. I'll get there at some point. Next up on the docket, this one's frustrating for a lot of people. Um, there's no snow in May. Um, the Bills beat
I was like, what was that?
Anyways, Patriots beat the Bills 23-20 in Buffalo. Drake May 22 with 30, 273 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions. This was all done on the ground and by the defense. Travion Henderson, 6 carries, 24 yards. Antonio Gibson, 6 carries, 21 yards. Ramondre Stevenson, 7 carries, 14 yards, 2 touchdowns. You know, this is a fun, I hate to say this. This is a fun Patriots team to watch, and I know they don't deserve to be this good after Tom Brady and all that, but they have a really good head coach. Really good head coach. I think him and Brian Flores were the two best free agent coaches out there last year. Um, I don't know why Brian Flores still doesn't have a job. Still blows my mind as a head coach. Crazy work to me. Um, that defense was playing good football. Christian Gonzalez is back. He had 2 solo tackles. He had 1 pass deflection. But Buffalo is at a point now where the secondary is just not good, and it's hurting everything else the rest of the team's doing. Now, the Bills just weren't the Bills. They were sloppy. It was shit. Josh was 22 at 31, 2 touchdowns, a pick. Um, Josh also had 53 yards. James Cook had 15 rushes. Um, but Kincaid, Buffalo needs a number one receiver too. That's another problem that they're having. They don't have a number one receiver. Um, Cole is all that New England needed was a a coach that knows how to handle the current player in Mike Vrabel, and a guy that he was there for the Patriot way, but he also knows what it's like to win in the city for that team, but also knows that all of his former players have nothing bad to say about him.
which is phenomenal.
So again, is this another culture thing that Mike Vrabel brings in, or is it just he knows how to manage these new type of player? And
Well,
Buffalo's doing exactly what we said they would do if they didn't fix the issues in secondary 4 years ago.
well, and to your point, Pat, like you have guys now who are experiencing this Vrabel style to where you look at, and I don't even want to talk necessarily about Drake May. I mean, don't get me wrong, great quarterback, and what he's done with the Patriots, stabilizing that position that wasn't stabilized since Tom Brady, and the good offense that they have around him. But look at the defensive change too, because that's been a Vrabel trademark ever since he was at Tennessee. You always had consistently good defenses, and I just love how he gets the most out of his guys. I mean, just some examples here. You got Carlton Davis III, who was a cornerback, out of Auburn and had some various stops. Comes here, looks so good. As you mentioned, you have uh, why is that? Christian Gonzalez, the young kid who came from Oregon. Now he's really in a scheme that he loves. You can tell he's playing with that swagger and that confidence that he had at Oregon. And then also, you got guys like Keon White and Christian Barmore who are really starting to find their edge in this defense. So, as they say, defense wins championships. And I think that's what we're experiencing here with Vrabel being able to finally get these players on the same side and realizing like, hey, this doesn't have to be how it used to be. It doesn't have to be the same style. And I do think, to your point, it's the game changing too. The players' personnel, they need a coach like that. And Vrabel, he checks all the boxes, and he's done a phenomenal job at New England. And then even to talk about the offense, I mean, you can look, as you brought up, Drake May, but how about Stephon Diggs this week? This was a revenge moment for him. I firmly believe he says, you know what? I was there at Buffalo for so many years. And I want to show them what I can do. And that, a lot of people, when he signed with the Patriots, they're going overpayment, right? That was the big thing that they said. Well, he earned his money. He absolutely showed out in this game.
And what I will say is, if he gave as much effort to playing as well in the Super Bowl, in the AFC Championship game or a wild card or whatever, as he did at the beaten Buffalo, who knows? They could be Super Bowl champions.
Right.
I mean, I mean, I'm not going to say that's the only reason why, but it's one of them for sure.
Yep.
But on our final Week 5 review game, we're gonna do. I thought the Chiefs' black magic was back when Trevor Lawrence fell twice before he won the game. With that being said, Jacksonville wins this game. It proves to 4-1, 31-28 against the Chiefs, pushing the Chiefs to 2-3 after a big win against Baltimore. Buffalo lost, so it didn't hurt them, but also Jacksonville's found some swagger. Their head coach has them playing good. The guys are believing in it. The offense looks like it did back when playoff Lenny was there. And the defense is getting after it. These boys are young. They're hungry. Listen, Trevor Lawrence had 3 total touchdowns 2 rushing, and that rushing touchdown, by the way, folks, he fell twice. It still scored. And by the way, Chris Jones, you bum ass bum. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to. You're just going to stand there and watch a guy run into the end zone. You could probably chase him down because you're one of the best linemen in football. But you decided to sit there and go, oh, he was a skater boy as you run into the fucking end zone.
Well, and Pat, I wanted to ask you about that because, what is it with these Chiefs now? Do you think it's a lack of effort? Do you think they've been, so much at the top these last few seasons? Like, oh, okay, well, we could, kind of, maybe it's that, playoff lag a little bit, they call it, or they're tired. I mean, what do you think is going on in KC right now?
I think, how do I want to say this? Because I just had it and I lost it. I think it's a bit of an attitude problem. I also think they're not healthy. They've lost some pieces. But also, like, I think it's, sometimes when you play with a group, that group has a shelf life. Like with Romo and Dez, Romo and T.O. That had a shelf life. Some of Phillip Rivers and LT had a shelf life. A lot of these great coaching and quarterback things have a shelf life. We got lucky with Tom and Bill. We got what? 20 years of excellence? 15 years of excellence, something like that. Right, that's hard. That's hard to replicate. And Andy Reid gets the best out of his players. I don't know if maybe people just kind of figured out that, I mean, Travis Kelce, clearly something's up there. He's not great, but we knew that already. I mean, he's
not who he was.
He's one of the best receiving tight ends ever, not one of the best tight ends ever. You're not going to make me prove that because Gronk never looked like this. Tony Gonzalez never looked like this. Antonio Gates never looked like this. I'm just saying, guys, at some point, you got to stop riding the guy. Like Juju Smith-Schuster had 2 receptions. He had 3 targets. Kelce had 8. Hollywood Brown had 8. Xavier Worthy had 9. Pacheco had 7 carries. Kareem Hunt had 7 carries. Like, why are you? Pacheco should run the ball 12, 13 times a game. Etienne and Lawrence had 22 carries. You had 20 between Mahomes, Hunt, and Pacheco. We talked about balance in our college football show a couple seasons ago. And you can be a one-dimensional team to a limit. You can be a pass-first offense. But when it comes down to nitty-gritty, you got to be able to run it. I think a lot of it is they can't complete. I mean, they can when it's one-on-one. Not a lot of people are playing man against these guys. They're all playing zone. And I'm not really worried about the Chiefs because they'll find a way in anyways, even though I think the AFC West runs through LA this year. But the question is, does LA keep this up and can they keep pace with the Colts? And can Houston get good enough to keep pace with the rest? Tennessee is going to be a year.
That's the question. Right.
Tennessee is going to be a year or two. But so now, folks, we're going to switch our focus to the Week 6 preview because we're going to go over the Giants-Eagles game. Now, a lot of you hearing my rant about my Phillies probably thinking, "Oh, he's an Eagles fan." No, folks, I'm a diehard Giants fan, and I'm happy as shit we beat the Chickens. Jackson Dart, 17-25, 195 yards, 1 touchdown, no picks, 89.8 QBR. Jalen Hurts dude, you're proving a lot of us right, man. When they have to rely on you to throw, they lose football games. Sorry, dog. I'm sorry. Yeah, Goddard had 9 receptions for 110 yards. Hey, AJ Brown got 80 yards, but I mean, Saquon only had 12 carries. Saquon's a guy you can give the ball to 30 times a game, or closer to 20. Scatterboo had 19 yards for 98 yards, 98 yards for 19 carries, 3 touchdowns. Dart had a rushing and a passing touchdown. And I'll tell you what, man, Brian Burns is on a whole new level, dude. 2 sacks last
I
night.
was waiting for that.
He's on pace for 20 sacks this year. 20, 30 sacks.
Yeah, him and Thibodeau and just I mean how much fat during the offseason did we talk about that defense and how dynamic that front seven was going to be, and I think they're finally finding it.
Yeah, man.
I love Carter, by the way.
Yeah, no, but like you were saying, we were praising this defense, saying this is going to be the scariest front seven in football. And Flott, he's playing good football, man. Flott's doing his thing. He's really making a name for himself out there. I love seeing that. But something's got to change in Philly. You got to run the ball more. That's what I'm going to say. Giants, we just got to be patient. I watched it. I went out of my way to watch it. Cole, I'm going to say this. You're gonna get the relevance of this. I was excited to watch a Giants game last week for the first time in a long time. I don't get excited to watch Giants games, folks. In fact, I hate watching the Giants. You can ask him. He knows. I hate watching the Giants. But here we are. We're 2-4. By the way, I think this is the first time we beat the Eagles in like forever.
Yeah.
I think it's been
like 6 or 7 years.
Yeah. So I don't know what you guys want, but this is going to be fun. Giants, keep it up, Jackson Dart. Kid, just do your thing, dog. You got game. Scat, you're a crazy crayon-eating son of a bitch. So on to our next game now for the little preview here. We're going to do the Seahawks 3-2 against the Jags. Sam Darnold, like we were just saying earlier, reinvent himself. He's playing like the guy that was last year. Kenneth Walker's not doing too bad. JSN. You can't really be mad. Leonard Williams has 2
always consistent.
But Trevor Lawrence, 6 tutties, 5 interceptions. It's not looking great. Still time to turn around. It's early. Travis Etienne's finally starting to get the football more. Brian Thomas Jr. only has 244 receiving yards, but leads the team.
That's a scary stat right there.
Right.
But it wins, right? They're 4-1.
Yeah, exactly. They're 4-1, but they've been carried by a defense a little bit here. I will give them that. Cole, on paper, and the way they've been playing, I would personally take the Seahawks.
But, yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah. All right. As long as I believe in Jacksonville, I don't know. That
But let me tell you why, if you don't mind. Mm-hmm. The reason why is because Jacksonville beat Kansas City last week. And I know what you all might be thinking to yourselves, okay, what's your point? Kansas City's not the Kansas City of old. You guys got to understand, football is mental, right? If you have a team who is consistently good for 4 or 5 years and you beat them, you're all the way up here. And I think Jacksonville's not going to – I'm not going to say they're going to overlook Seattle, but they're just not going to come out with the same ferocity, I don't think. Yeah, exactly. I think Seattle's going to creep in when they're not expecting it, outplay Jacksonville, and pull a shocker here. That's usually what happens. I know we talk about that on the college show a lot. Big win happens one week, next week they get knocked off, but here it applies. I mean, football is football, regardless of how you look at the board, and I think that's the reason here. They get a little too overconfident, not the same Jacksonville team we saw from last week.
Yeah, and I'll agree there. I think that I do believe that. One second here. I'm way higher up now. I do believe that Seattle's going to win this game. I think it's going to be a lot closer than some people are going to call it, the way we're calling it. But I think Seattle's defense is really good. I enjoy watching them play football. And speaking of enjoying watching teams play football, I love Baker Mayfield led Buccaneers. Now, Cole and I have always kind of had a soft spot for Tampa Bay because all the LSU guys there. But now, like Baker Mayfield we're seeing the Baker Mayfield that we watched in college, and we're like,
Oklahoma, baby.
I love Baker Mayfield. I don't think I can say that enough ever about the guy. But this is going to be Mac Jones is playing the best football he's ever played. Um, but Baker Mayfield is just, dude, you got 1,200 yards already, 10 touchdowns, 1 pick. Um, and Ibuka, we knew he was good coming out of college. It helps that Mike Evans has been down for a couple weeks. Are we seeing like a future like little thing there where
Passing of the torch.
yeah, and Vita Vea's got 2 sacks. I know you don't like that name.
Hey, we don't talk about that guy here, all right, Pat? Anybody else, I don't care. Not that guy, okay? I still have nightmares.
On the other side of the ball, though, Fred Warner has 50 tackles already.
Already?
Yeah.
That guy's not human.
He's not human. Impossible. He's the most athletic linebacker in football. Hey, but Christian McCaffrey's got 387 rushing yards. He's also got 39 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. So, yeah, he's got 39 receptions for 387 yards and 3 touchdowns. So he's got more receiving yards, but like this is kind of an offense where I personally think you could plug and play the quarterback, and Mac Jones is kind of proving it right now. So it kind of makes that money spent on Brock Purdy kind of look bad. Like,
yeah, it does.
Would you agree with that? Let's
Absolutely,
talk about that.
yeah.
Let's actually talk about that for a second.
Sure.
With Shanahan's ability to make any offense do anything with any quarterback, he's like the grand puppeteer, right? Do they need to worry about finding a franchise guy, or is Purdy actually that franchise guy?
See, that's the thing. Like, he had a few really good years. He showed a lot of potential, but I just don't like the inconsistency with him. I mean, you have moments in games where he's all, up here, then he's down here, then he's in the middle, and it's like, I just don't know if he's worth that amount of money. And I'd love to hear, by the way, any 49ers fans who are watching this, please feel free to tell me what you think. But I just don't see it. I mean, if this was a guy like a Josh Allen or like a I'm trying to think of an equivalent really. Even a Joe Burrow, I would say you could throw into that conversation of, okay, yeah, we really want to keep him here, but Purdy, I don't know, he's kind of like another smoke on the wheel. And to your point, you have so much in that offense, right? You have Christian McCaffrey, you have guys who are just flying to the ball that he could take. Like, for instance, he took Jaquan, is his name Jaquan Johnson, the wide receiver
Oh,
from
Jawan.
Tennessee?
Yeah,
Jawan, okay. I always mix up his name, but
I
he
can't remember.
took him and made him a good wide receiver. I mean, this is a guy that could just like get a skill position guy out of the draft. Nobody saw it coming and turn him into something elite. So, I really don't know if quarterback is as big as people are making it out to be unless you get the right guy. So I'm glad you brought that up. But yeah, that's what I think about this whole thing. Purdy's just way too inconsistent.
I made a comparison to Noah the other day. I said the way Jackson Dart's playing and his swagger and like the you can see it on the field. I'm gonna backpedal to the Giants here for a second because I'm finally able to talk about it and not be angry. Um, the way that the defense and the team you could literally see the attitude change on the field from Russ to Dart is like when Josh Allen took over for the Bills.
I
Like
love that.
there's just this energy, there's this buzz. Like, yo, we got a baller. He drops a shoulder.
Yeah.
And we saw it in college. We covered Dart. We how folks, you can go to his YouTube or Twitch, and you can go find these videos, and you can see that we had said it plenty of times about Dart. We love the kid, good quarterback, but he needs to slide.
Yes, he does.
He
Yeah,
needs to slide
and
because he. Go ahead. Sorry.
like, and that's the thing. Sorry to cut in, but I just wanted to say, like, this kid explodes with, as you said, confidence. He's got swagger. He's got everything that you want in a leader. And I mean, watching him at Ole Miss, because I mean, you could go back to the USC days either. I mean, he was good then too, but him at Ole Miss, what Lane Kiffin did to that guy's career. Oh my goodness. He brought out this side of Jackson Dart that very few saw. And if you look at, go watch the 2022, or I'm sorry, 2023 season, and I want to say 22 he was also there. I don't think he started at right away, if I remember right, at Ole Miss, but watch that
Who was he?
2023 season.
Who was he splitting time with? Was it Hudson Card?
No, it was
Card was Texas, right?
yeah, Card was Texas. It was oh my goodness. It wasn't Corral because Corral just left. It was oh, wait, I'll get back to that. I'm sure it'll come out before the end of the
It'll come
show.
through your Rolodex here. In your
But
college football.
watch. I'm just saying though, like watch this kid. I mean, you want an example of the grittiness. Watch that LSU game that they had in 2023 when he leaped over Andre Sam on that run, and I yelled at the TV like
Oh,
anybody
he
off.
ran and he yelled. He yelled.
Oh, I was mad. I was so when he hurdled Andre Sam and he did, everything that he could to destroy it. And that guy, I mean, to put it into perspective, you had 8 minutes to go in the game, and if LSU had any defense, they might have won. But that's another story for another day. That guy just would not take no for an answer. And he gets that touchdown, and then as soon as we had to punt the ball back, I'm going, yep, we lost. And you just knew it because Jackson Dart had that team so ready to go. And he was the exact leader that Lane Kiffin needed on that team. And I mean, those two were inseparable. I bet you they still talk every other day because their friendship. And how can you not love Lane? I mean that guy. We'll get more into that, but what a fun guy to watch, and Scatterboo too. That's the other guy.
I love me some
We're
Cam.
going all back to the
I
Giants.
love some Cam Scatterboo, bro. I love that guy.
Oh my gosh, that
He's gonna
guy's
have the best
amazing.
3-year career ever because he's gonna have CTE by 3 years in.
I agree. Yeah.
But no, I was listening to an interview with Brian Burns. Funny enough, when you got in here before we started this, and he was saying, man, we love Dart. He said he brings this competitiveness and this just energy to the team that you can just see. Like I said, you can just see it in everyone in the building. Everyone's loose. They're happy. You know, they're not like, oh, we gotta go with this guy. But when I
Back to
watched the
the
Saints
grind,
game,
right?
when I watched the Saints game 2 weeks ago, there's the O line was blocking for someone. The O line was blocking. Like I was impressed. I was like, oh, there's a fumble. Oh, Darius Slayton dropped that one. Oh, there's another Darius Slayton fumble. Fumble. But like even then, I wasn't getting mad. Well, actually, when Slayton fumbled that ball in the 35, what would have been a big play, I turned it off. Then I said, I'm gonna watch the Rays. But folks, this is my favorite part of this show because this is my favorite thing to talk about. We're going to college. Now
Yes,
we
sir.
picked a few games. We got a couple of talking points. First up, I feel we're leading this now, doing this part. So we're gonna do the NC State Wolfpack against the number 16 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Both Wolfpack being 4-2, the Fighting Irish being 3-2. Cole, give us a basic rundown of this game since you're the encyclopedia here.
All right, so first off, just look me in my eyes for a moment, okay? We need to discuss this. How is Notre Dame number 16? Okay, I don't believe it. I don't care about your excuses. Oh, they played A&M. They lost close. They played who's the Miami? I could think of it. They played Miami, beat them by 3. Okay, they're both really good teams. I'm saying they lost to Miami by 3, and you're going, okay, those are close losses. Show some mercy, right? No, I mean, you got 2 losses. Do losses mean nothing anymore? And that's what I wonder, because it's like, how the heck are they 16? But anyways, in this game, you got 2 teams that are really in an interesting spot this year, right? You got a Notre Dame defense that doesn't really have an identity. Unlike last year, they made that great playoff push. They went to the national title game, and the defense was the story for that Notre Dame team. Yes, you could say Riley Leonard, but I'd go more on the defense, because that's what it was. I mean, that defense was unbelievable. Every time they needed them last year, they came up big. Well, this year, you get new DC coming over from the Bengals. He's been awful for this team, and Marcus Freeman has rejected to take on the play calling duty. He says, kind of in a sense, this is our guy. We trust him. He'll get it together. Bold move by Freeman, but it might work off. It might work out. NC State, on the other hand, oh goodness, I hate to be this guy. I don't like NC State, what they're doing. It's the same story every year. You torture your fan base, okay? You get their hopes all the way up. We're gonna be good, and then they crash harder than the stock market on certain days. Okay, Notre Dame's going to win this game. Bottom line, they're going to win this thing by 10 points before all the NC State people come in here and are mad. Oh, no, we actually got a good quarterback. He's very close to leading the nation in passing yards. Look at the explosiveness of the offense. Save it. Okay, just save the whole thing. NC State blows big games. They always do. I'm sorry. You know I'm right. You won't admit it, but you know I'm right. Notre Dame wins this ball game, and I think Jeremiah Love is gonna finally have. We saw flashes of it last week, where he came out and he had a really good game against Arkansas. I mean, granted, Arkansas's defense. I mean, we don't need to talk much about that, but yeah, Arkansas's defense was not very good. They gave up 56 points, but he really came back to form, looked good. Not to mention CJ Carr is he's got swag. I mean, this guy's a freshman, and you think he'd be a fifth-year senior. He's got the swag. He's got the leadership. He's making throws that you jaw drop. All right, I don't like Notre Dame very much, but I give props where it's due. Notre Dame wins this one, and I would venture to say comfortably too at home. So that's what I think's going to happen at this one. What about you, Toots?
Well, to retort to your Notre Dame shouldn't be ranked that high, I can tell you why they're ranked that high is because they went into we're going to get to this point here in a bit to Arkansas and they said, oh, we're having hog for lunch, breakfast, dinner, leftovers, breakfast the next morning, lunch the next day, and dinner the next day because they got so far in that ass.
Right.
I don't trust NC State's offense, so I'm going with you there. I'm taking Notre Dame and should be about 14 plus point win. Now, this is a game that we're seeing a 5-0 Texas Tech Red Raider team. Let's go. Against a 4-2 Kansas Rock Dog Jayhawk team. Haven't done that in a while. Despite Texas Tech being penalized more than 76 yards per game, they're second in FBS among points per game with 48.6, only giving up a total of about 11.2 points a game. Cole, I'll let you take this one away, but also the Texas Tech is top 10 nationally in offense with 568.8 yards per game with a total defense of 244.4 yards allowed per game. So they're one of the best teams in the country right now by statistics standpoint, but also Texas Tech hasn't. I mean, they started off with whoever UAPB is, and then they went to Kent State. They played Oregon State, and they beat the tar out of Utah and Houston. So Kansas, couple of questionable loss. I mean, the questionable loss to Cincinnati. Everyone's lost to Missouri so far. Cole, give us that rundown again. And who's winning this?
Oh yeah, this one I had circled in red, and let me tell you why, folks. This game's exciting. Chooch brought up some really great points about, Texas Tech's a little bit undisciplined, penalty wise, not one of the better ones that you'll see in the country, but they have an explosive offense. They have a coach that is finally putting the pieces together to make this Texas Tech team click on all cylinders. And guess what? There's more. The defense is actually looking up. I mean, they've had their struggles to where, it's like, okay, are they gonna find out kind of an identity on defense? They have, it seems. However, they're playing a really underrated, underappreciated Kansas team. And let me tell you, this Kansas team, I'm saying they upset Texas Tech at home. The reason being, you got an elite team that can move the football at will if they're clicking on all cylinders. I know there's a little inconsistency at times, but I love what this Kansas team has done. And when they believe, you go back to that Missouri game, they had Missouri on the ropes. They were playing Kansas football till that very end, and then Missouri, they pull out the game. They take the win, kind of sweep the rug, so to speak. But I think Kansas is ready for a big game like this. They're ready. This program is waiting for a big win like this. And this is that game. Upset against the number, I think it's number 10. Sorry, I don't have it up before me right now, but
Number
I think
nine. Yeah.
Texas Tech is 10. Oh, they're 10. Or, I mean, they're not.
Yeah.
Number 9 team in the nation. So I think they pull the shocker tomorrow. And I think it'll be close. I mean, this is going to be your stereotypical Big 12 game, to where there's a million points, but Kansas gets the better half of this. They got more of a balance in the run game that I really, really like. So yeah, and also the line for this game. Last time I checked, I think Texas Tech was a 13-ish point favorite. Put some respect on Kansas's name. They're a good team, and they have a real shot to show tomorrow. I think they will.
So I gotta have one of these with you at least once.
Oh no.
Kansas has lost 52 conference road games in a row since before Leopold arrived. Since Leopold arrived, they have won 6 Big 12 road wins, including a 17-13 win at number 7 BYU last year. Now, the ledger for the all-time series, Texas Tech is 23-2 against Kansas. That's 11 wins and 1 loss in Lubbock. The Jayhawks have lost 8 in a row since 2001 to Texas Tech. Now, penalties are going to hurt. Whoever in this game. But Texas Tech, you figure your shit out, you're fine. You don't let Jalen Daniels go out there and just take you guys to shreds like he has every other year he's been in Kansas.
Yep.
You cut down the penalties a little bit. Hell, you guys keep doing what you're doing and just put up a bunch of points and a bunch of yards. You should be fine. But we know how quick that Kansas offense can roll, and even the Kansas special teams. So Texas Tech in a close one. Next one up is a surprise for both of us here. Nebraska and Maryland at 4-1. Cole, give us the rundown and tell us what to
Yes,
expect
sir.
and what we should be looking for in this game.
Well, and this is a very interesting game for many reasons. First, we're seeing Matt Rule's effect in Nebraska finally landing. People kept going. The first year he comes in, okay, there's a little bit of grace. They're decent, whatever. Not, nothing exciting. The next year, kind of expectations grow and they're like, all right, well, I just don't think he's cut out for Nebraska. Third year comes along, kind of more of the same. People are questioning, okay, was Matt Rule the right guy? Some even giving up at that point. But this year, we're finally starting to see Nebraska believing in the program again and coming to these games and saying, we believe in what Matt Rule has done. And I think that's something we haven't seen in a long, long time, probably since the Bo Pelini days back in 2010. I mean, there were some uh, kind of hitters in every now and again where you had like Scott Frost when he was there. And you're like,
Mhm.
okay, we kind of see it. Then they fell off the train and it went horrible. But this time, Matt Rule's got a real shot to prove the legitimacy of this team. And Dylan Raiola has got to be the guy to do it for this team. I mean, you can, look at anybody else on the field. You can go, okay, what about this? What about that? He's got to really step up. He struggled earlier in the year, especially in the game against Cincinnati, week 1. But aside from that, it seems like he's found his groove a little bit. But my question is, can he be consistent against a Maryland defense that has really seemed to found its stride? Maryland, they're 4-1, and they're not 4-1 because of a joke. Really, they played good ball. If you watch the game against Wisconsin, which I know Wisconsin hasn't been great this year per se, but at halftime they had the crowd in Camp Randall chanting "Fire Fickle." It was 20-0. Game got a little bit closer at the end, but ultimately Maryland was able to take it out. So, I think the question for Maryland is, how do you affect Dylan Raiola, and how do you make the most out of your offensive possessions? Because this is a Maryland team, offensively at least, where we've seen they've had great weeks, they've had questionable weeks, they've had good halves, they've had halves where they didn't look like they knew how to play football. So, my question for Maryland, can they play a 4-quarter game and look dominant in all 4 quarters? So, now to the pick time, right? This is where it gets very interesting. Who's going to be 5-1 and really believing in that hype? And I got to give the edge to Nebraska. I just haven't seen the fullness of what this Maryland team can be yet, and I just don't know if they figure this out against Nebraska. Nebraska, in Rule, he's going to have this team ready. And he's going to see these inconsistencies that continue to flare up against Maryland. And I think he exploits it. He's one of the best minds in the modern game, and I think this is why you get to see, it's games like this where that shows more so. And no hate to Coach Loxley at Maryland. He's done good for about 5 years there. I think even 6 at this point. But it's just not Maryland's game tomorrow. I think we're going to be getting the Go Big Red crowd very excited as they roll on in this Big Ten schedule. So. How about you, Chooch? How do you see this one going?
I'm going to go with Nebraska for the simple fact Nebraska isn't outside the top 30 in anything in college except for the rushing yards per game, which is 102nd with 129.2. And the amount of rush yards they're giving up per game, where they're 87th with 155.6 yards per game given up. I mean, listen, Nebraska's got the best passing defense in the country. They only give up 91.8 yards a game. They're 11th in overall yards per game allowed with between 247.4 yards a game. Now, Maryland is the middle bottom, just about every category on the other side on both sides of the ball. Defensively, they're a top 71 team. They allow 318.4 yards a game. That's 41st in the FBS. Now, their best stat on defense is how much they give up. It's 13.4 points a game, which is 11th in the country.
Wow.
Both teams struggle though on fourth down. Both teams allowing opponents to convert about 22% of the time. But they both have strong turnover margins. Nebraska ranks 10th with a +6, and Maryland 5th at a +7. So defensively, You never know. Offensively, we don't know. I just think Matt Rule in his ability, yeah, like you said, one of the great minds. I think his ability to outthink other coaches is going to win him in Nebraska this game. So I'm going to take the Huskers here, and probably going to be a fun one later on in the game, not early though. Um, Now, this next one's got a surprise team in it, folks. If you haven't been paying attention or living under a rock, one of the greatest stories in college football right now is the Arizona. Is it Wildcats, Bearcats, Bear Wildcat, Wild Bearcat? I don't know what it is.
Wildcats.
I thought they were Bearcats for a minute, but that must be Cincinnati, right?
Yeah, just Cincy.
Yeah, okay. I don't know why I think they're the Bearcats, but the BYU Cougars, the Mormons against the Wildcats. BYU being 5-0, almost not surprising there. But Arizona being 4-1, I think, Cole, correct me if I'm wrong, we were expecting not this, but also not a
No,
bad football team.
right.
So I'll let you take the reins and tell us what to look for and expect here, man.
Sounds good. This is an Arizona team. We'll start with them, who is very explosive when they want to be. You got Noah. I always butcher his last name. My apologies in the beginning. I
Fafita?
think it's Fafita, is it?
Yeah,
Okay, cool. I guess that I'm the worst with names. If Pat
he is.
Pat
He
can
is.
vouch for
Awful.
that. So yeah,
That's
he's
Lamar
been
Parmesan?
lead. But he's been leading the charge for this Arizona team, and this Arizona team ever since Jedfish, because he Jedfish was the one who really brought this Arizona scheme together, this team to believe. Now he's at Washington, of course, so he moved on to maybe quote unquote greener pastures. We'll see when Noah ends up leaving, but yes, he's the driving force of this Arizona team, and he's been very exciting to watch. He's your stereotypical quarterback who can run, pass, and do it all, but at the same time, unlike what separates him from your everyday average quarterback who is a dual threat, I think his personality is the biggest thing and kind of his leadership role when it comes to just who he is as a player. But enough about the quarterback per se, because you can talk about. I'm sorry, folks. For some reason here, we seem to be going into something on my end. I gotta find. I had the stats up here. I don't know why they just closed. Okay, here we go. Sorry about that. Don't know what quite happened there, but we are all good and back to our normal scheduling here. So. But yeah, he's been the heart and soul of this team. There's not really a lot of run game to talk about. You don't really have a consistency to where you're like, okay, well, somebody's going to go up and be that main guy. Their lead rusher right now, Mahad, has 64 carries, only one touchdown to show for it. And their wide receivers, now some view this as a bad thing, others view it as a good thing. Whiteley has 22 receptions for 3 TDs for 316 yards. So you might think to yourself and you might go, well, that doesn't sound very good. Not a whole promising leader, so to speak. But look at it at the flip side too. Sometimes you have so many good wideouts that you just don't have one guy that jumps off the page. You got a million guys that you could go to and who have been equally as impressive. And I think that's what Arizona's been all about recently. You got depth at that wide receiver position that is very exciting. You got a defense that, isn't the best, but they're good enough. They gave up 39 to Iowa State in that loss, but then from there, 13 against Oklahoma State. Against Kansas State, you only gave up 17. I'm not going to mention the other two because they weren't really, even great teams per se. But in those two games alone, it shows a heart that has potential to go to the next level. We don't know if they're there yet. They haven't really been tested in that sense, but they have been good in the teams that they have played, outside of the Iowa State game. We don't talk about that much if you're an Arizona fan. But BYU, on the other hand, complete kind of opposite story. They've been tested. They had good showings against ECU, West Virginia, Colorado, and the thing that really capsulates this team is Brockmeyer, the quarterback. This is a guy who has really seemed to find his stride as of late. At the beginning of the year, some questions. Does he really have it? And now he shows everybody, yes, indeed, he is who we thought he was. And then you look at that run game too. You got your lead rusher, 490 yards on the ground. He's been effective. This O line's been good enough when they need to be. So yeah, but in terms of who's going to win this game, I'm going to give the edge to BYU. I know it's on the road. I know, Arizona, they have that game where they can be really explosive. But I think BYU is good enough altogether as a team, and that defense can come up big when they need it to. So close game, real close. BYU wins it, and they advance to 6-0, I think. What do you say about this one?
I think the Cougars come into Arizona and they treat this game like the Colorado game. They start out slow. Colorado's allowed to hang around. The only difference is Arizona can actually capitalize on that. I think Arizona capitalizes on a BYU mistake and they take the lead late and they don't look back. I'm taking the Wildcats in a close one here in Arizona. I do want to say, is the Big 12 back?
It's possible. They look good.
Is the Big 12 back is the question. But first,
We got two games on here from the Big 12.
We got a couple actually. We got three. Oh no, we only had two. You're right. Anyways, next up, the Pitt Panthers against the Florida State Seminoles. Florida State started off looking so promising. You guys do everyone a favor and beat the tar out of Bama. You beat. I'm assuming that's Eastern Tennessee A&M there. Or
Texas
Eastern
A&M.
Tallahassee. Oh, good lord! You beat you put boot to ass against Kent State, and then you lose a heartbreaker in Charlottesville, and then you host Miami and lose another heartbreaker. Meanwhile, Pitt, they just came off a big win against BC. They lost a good game against Louisville, and they lost a heartbreaker in the backyard brawl. But they beat Central Michigan and Duquesne. Cole, what are we looking for here, and why should it be Florida State?
Well, Florida. Of course you would. You can't go against the chop, right?
No.
Well, that's what makes it fun, right? I mean, Pitt, you just don't know what to expect with this Pitt team. But Florida State, on the other hand, they got Gus Malzahn. They had, as you mentioned, that heartbreaker to Virginia, and it was just unbelievable to see that Virginia quarterback in that team. But that quarterback in particular was playing like his life was on the line. Like if he lost that game, he was gonna die or something. And he was just phenomenal that night. But then, are we getting the chant up here? Oh no, you got the stats. Okay, I was waiting for the chant to come out. I was like, what are you doing there, Chooch? But yeah, I mean, Costello's coming over from BC was looking for greener pastures, and that was the ideal quarterback for Gus Malzahn. If you look at his time at Auburn, there was only a few times, and by a few I mean basically Jarrett Stidham, to where he didn't have a scrambling quarterback. He had Bo Nix, who was, very able to get out the pocket when need be. He had Nick Marshall back in 26, or no, not 16. I think it was 2015. Nick Marshall was back there. You had, so many guys who fit the mold where it's like, okay, we can work with this. And then you have that heartbreaking game and lost to Virginia. But then the Miami game, they came back late. They showed a lot of heart, a lot of fight, and will to win that game. They just came up a little bit short. If that clock has 5 more minutes, they might have won that one. They were rolling with all the momentum. But meanwhile, going back to Pitt, it's just look, not to be mean, Pitt doesn't have a chance in this game. All right. And you could re-roll this clip when they win this game, but I think Florida State wins this one, and I think they win comfortably. I think this is one of those games you turn off at halftime because Florida State is going to come out mad. They're going to be irate over the last 2 weeks, and they take it out on this Pittsburgh team. And Pitt's not per se bad. They just don't have the talent to beat Florida State here. And not to mention it's in Tallahassee, so that crowd is going to be that chop. Give me the nose, baby.
Oh, sorry, I had to, guys.
I love
Anyways,
it.
on to our next game here. Arizona State Sun Devils against the Utah Utes. And, folks, what we're looking at here is going to be, I think, a very underrated football game. I love this Sam Levitt kid. I think he's one of the more exciting prospects in football right now. Also, one of the more exciting quarterbacks in football right now. He's a stud. Um, Cole, I'm just going to come out and say it. I think Arizona State wins one in Utah. I don't. Uh, I think Dampier is a little bit inconsistent at times, and Arizona is way too much fun to watch play football. I'm just taking Sun Devils, dog.
Well, and also to go on your point with Sam Levitt, I love watching that guy. Like especially last year, when they played Texas in the playoffs, I was like, man, I don't know about Arizona State. I really don't know why they're there. And you saw Scatterboo and him torch that Texas defense, and you're like, oh, okay, so they're not, they didn't just get in because committee felt bad that a Big 12 team wasn't in there. They were really good. And this year, Sam Levitt has been the story for this team. If you look at his progressions, you look at his explosiveness when he wants to run the football and tuck. I mean, he reminds me, and this might sound a little odd, but he reminds me a lot of Jackson Dart with the way he plays. We were just talking about the swagger that he has. I think Sam Levitt is a more humbler version of Jackson Dart. He's very exciting with the ball in his hands. And, Utah, I want to believe. I really do. But every year it's the same thing. You win some games, you look a little promising, and then you just rip your fan base's heart out. I'm just like, why do you do this every year? Okay, can't you just for once go back to the Utah that Chooch and I knew growing well, maybe not growing up for Chooch, but for me, growing up seeing that exciting team that just was never out of a game. And for some reason, now they've changed it's like they changed their identity to where it's like, okay, we'll be promising for a little bit, then we just crash, and then we'll still make a bowl. We might win the bowl game, but don't expect much.
Yeah, and that's where I was going to get at with my thing earlier. I don't have faith in the Utah offense. I have faith in the
Yeah.
defense, 100%. I like Arizona. Arizona State's fun to watch. But now, folks, I'm just going to keep the stats up here, just to get a little easier for y'all to see what we're seeing. Um, the game a lot of people are looking forward to. 4-1 Alabama goes number 8 Alabama goes to 5-0 number 14 Missouri. Now I think I can figure out why Missouri is number 14 compared to number 8.
Strength of schedule.
Yeah, and we don't. I thought we don't do that anymore. That doesn't matter. But no. Oh wait, Notre Dame's still ranked higher.
Right.
That's not math in here. Anyways, this is why Mizzou is 6 spots lower than Bama. I mean, honestly, if Florida State loses again, that Florida State loss doesn't look great for Bama. But Vandy gave Bama a hard time. Is Missouri gonna do what we wanted Vandy to do last week and give Bama their second loss of the year, or is Bama gonna keep on rolling Tide?
Oh man. Oh, this game has been the hardest game for me to pick all week. I mean, I don't even know where to start, where to end. After week one, right, you had people saying Alabama's soft, Kalen DeBoer is a horrible coach, get the guy out of Tuscaloosa, hire Lane Kiffin or hire maybe Sarkeesian or, just a few names that were going around. But now, conveniently, I love how this happens with us college football fans. We like Kalen DeBoer, if you're an Alabama fan. He beats Georgia, which, I mean, Georgia, come on. It's getting embarrassing now, okay? Every year it's the same story. You play Bama tough, then they pull something out. You're the only team, Alabama, who can consistently beat Georgia, and it just drives me nuts, okay? I don't understand what you did. I don't know what type of like backwoods thing you got going on that just for whatever reason Georgia can't beat you, but it happens all the time now. I think Georgia's only won one out of the last 9 or 8, something like that. Um, but yeah, anyways, to talk to the game, get back to that. Alabama's a team to where I don't know what y'all did with Ty Simpson, but he's playing quarterback. This guy looks night and day from week one. He had that dominating showing against UL Monroe, and everybody's like, okay, it's just UL Monroe. I mean, they're awful. We expected that. Then they played it against Wisconsin, and you still had the same thing like, okay, he's not that good. Wisconsin's like horrible. Okay, we get it. But then the next week, this guy shows out against Georgia. And then the next week, he shows out against Vanderbilt. And it's like, wait a second, does Alabama actually have a good quarterback, a good offense, and a defense that is well, they're they're not the typical Alabama defense, let me put it that way, but they're still good enough to win these type of games. Not to mention the refs might help a little bit, but we don't talk about that here on the show. We keep it nice and PG. You're welcome, SEC officiating. Anyways, so yeah, that's the Alabama team. Ty Simpson's really got it going. Yeah, a guy out of Louisiana who's really seemed to found his groove. Then Missouri. You have the best running back in college football right now in Hardy. It's not even close. I think he's 300 or 400 yards up on the closest guy. Um, he's been phenomenal. One of the best pickups from UL Monroe. Then you look at Bo, the quarterback from Missouri. He's finally really starting to let it sling a little bit. I think they're a lot more run reliant than Alabama. So I think that's going to be the big question: who can control the line of scrimmage in this football game? Will it be the Missouri offensive line, or will that Alabama defense finally get it through their head? Hey, we got to show up this week and really make a difference. So this game, like I said, this is the toughest one on the schedule for me. But I have a friend who's a Missouri fan and a diehard one at that. And if I pick Alabama and he finds out, he's not going to be happy. Okay, I might get some calls and some things, and I can't do it. So I'm going to go Missouri on the hope that they can run the football and control the line of scrimmage and the time of possession. But if they cannot do that, Alabama rolls in this game. They'll go to 5-1. Give me Missouri, but a lot has to go right against this red hot Alabama team. I think it can happen. Like I said, love Hardy. That kid's amazing. But we'll see what happens here. Give me the Tigers though.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm taking Missouri here. I want to see. I think because it's in Missouri, Alabama's going to get off to a slow start, and Missouri's going to be able to pounce and just hopefully not penalize themselves into a loss like they have the last few times they played a team like this. So that's my pick. Mizzou, Mizzou. Folks, now this is a game where I would really, really like to say that Indiana, Oregon Indiana's going to walk in, probably get their shit stomped, and go. But I have this Mendoza kid. I have a feeling with Indiana this year they're going to be they're going to be playing Ohio State for the Big Ten championship game, and you're not going to be able to convince me otherwise. Um, but then again, if Oregon wins, Oregon's going to play. See, this is the problem. I don't know who to pick. Um, I'm going to Indiana because of Kurt Signetti. It's nothing against Oregon. In fact, I think Oregon's going to have a substantial lead at some point in this game. Someone's going to have a substantial lead at some point in this game. But I feel like this is a year where if I take the sure bet, I'm not gonna get my pick here. But I'm gonna say go Ducks, not go Hoosiers. But Hoosiers keep it close. Signetti's listen. He's a hell of a coach. He's turned that Indiana program around like tenfold. Um, but I'm taking Oregon here, Cole. Now, who are you taking? Why are you taking them? And what should these people be watching for?
Boy. Okay, this is the second toughest game without a doubt on the week for me. I know a lot of people, they look at that Penn State win that Oregon had in the whiteout and they're like, how could you even think to pick against Oregon? It's in Eugene. They got probably a live duck maybe over there, last I heard, got some pretty good sources. And not to mention one of the funnest mascots in college football, Puddles. That guy's everywhere, right? But on the field, in all seriousness, you got Dante Moore, who has finally seemed to put it together. He was a UCLA guy brought in with Chip Kelly, hit the portal after Chip Kelly went and left and went to Ohio State to coach the offense, found his way to Oregon, and he has done pretty good over there. As Chooch mentioned, Indiana with Mendoza, they've been explosive. Look at that Illinois game right there. Dominated the Fighting Illini in that game. I mean, it's amazing what this offense can do
That's the
when they're not.
that's the Illini's only loss.
Yeah, yeah, they just knocked off. I think it was USC last week, and then they got Ohio State coming in to Champaign. That'll be interesting. But anyways, back to this one. Indiana, I just don't know if they have the it factor because, like Chooch said, I love this Mendoza kid. I love Kurt Signetti. By the way, Kurt Signetti, if you're ever watching this, please come to LSU. Like,
No,
we'll
please.
fire Kelly. Just come
I'll,
on over, buddy, please.
I'll find the money to get you to come over. I'll pay Brian Kelly's buyout.
Yes,
I'll probably buy Brian
yes.
Kelly a cigar or two, anyways.
Please. Yeah, I'm so sick and tired of watching that type. Well, we'll talk about that when we get there, but just give us a call here, okay? We'd love to have you. Anyways, yeah, I think what this game's going to come down to, ironically enough, because you could talk about so many things, the elite offenses, the shutdown defenses, but let's talk about special teams in this game. I think this is where the game is going to come down to. You have kickers and punters that are going to decide this one. And this game could be one where it goes down to the wire. You get a field goal kicker up there and he misses it or makes it. And that's the difference. This is this close. Who's that going to be? As much as I want to say Indiana, I can't do it. I'm sorry, Kurt. I love you. I love Mendoza. I love this defense. I just can't bring myself to do it. If this was in Indiana, I'd pick Indiana. Since it's not, it's an Austin out there in Oregon in Eugene. I have to go with the Ducks. I think that crowd noise is going to rattle Mendoza a little bit. He might throw a pick or two that's uncharacteristic. I think Oregon, you have a lot safer of an option with Dante Moore. He knows what he's doing in that scheme, that offense. And ultimately, you just can't you can't look over the whiteout win as much. I mean, that was that was crazy. I was watching that OT game when Oregon had that ball, and it was you just knew they were going to win. You just had it that they're confident. Not to mention, we talked a lot about Kurt Signetti here, but how about the other side of the field here with Oregon? You got a coach, Dan Lanning, who has been in this situation. He was the number one seed in the playoffs last year. He's not getting a whole lot of mentions in this show or even internationally with this game. But I'm telling you, Dan Lanning, he takes note, he gets his team ready, and they're going to win this. They're going to eke it out, but they're going to win this one in Eugene.
I would honestly, ironically enough, if I remember correctly, when we were looking for our new head coach, I think you and me both said Dan Lanning was one of the guys that we
Yeah.
wouldn't mind seeing. We'd be a little wary of. The more I watch him become really Oregon's coach, like the personality, the he fits that school so well. And while Brian Kelly fits what LSU wants in terms of professionalism, doesn't have that killer mentality that Coach O had.
Yes.
Doesn't
Yes.
have that killer mentality like we gotta go out there, we gotta impose our will on 30 other people, and we're gonna go do our thing. But when we get down to Arkansas first, when they play Tennessee, Arkansas being 2-3 just fired Sam Pittman a couple weeks ago. They go into Josh Heupel territory at what's it, Neyland Stadium, and they're gonna have
Nealon,
a
yeah.
good time. Now that kills my voice every time I do it. I want to talk about these three losses here, Cole, in our intro for this game, because I think these three losses highlight everything that's wrong with this Arkansas team.
Right.
Like we said earlier with Notre Dame, I said this to my buddy Justin, who Glover, if you're watching this, when you watch this, if you watch or listen to this after it's posted, as I said to you, no one should be able to walk into an SEC stadium unless it's Vanderbilt and hang a 50 spot and win by 43 points.
Yeah.
That should not happen ever, especially if you're one of the blue bloods of the SEC. That should not happen to you. But they come down to Walmart land and they whoop your pig suey ass up and down the state of Arkansas, up and down. What's it, Fayetteville? Is where this is.
Fayetteville, yep.
Up and down Fayetteville. They kick it out to Bentonville. They kick it down to Little Rock. They kick it up to Oklahoma. They kick it all through the tri-state area up there. Just for you guys, I don't get it. I don't get it. Now you bring Bobby back, and I mean, my buddy Justin loves it. I love it. I think it's a great thing. But your last win was a decisive win over Arkansas State. You lost a close one to Miss State, not a bad football team. You lost to Memphis by 1 point because you played like you shot yourselves in the foot. That honestly, after that game, Pittman should have been fired. If anyone watched that game, they'll understand why I'm saying that, because you had a good lead, and then all of a sudden you're like, pow, right in the foot.
Ball drops. Yep.
I'll show you guys the box score right now. No, that went right to the Memphis
It
game.
hurts.
Just kidding. 28-17 at half. You score 3 points in the third. That's it.
Oh man,
So
and
Cole,
you know what? Yeah.
No. Oh well. You can probably make your point when I ask you this question.
Sure.
I got Tennessee winning this. Who you got?
Oh boy. Well, so I just want to state one thing here. Sam Pittman, great coach, great guy. Love all that he did for Arkansas first and foremost. I mean, this was a guy who touched a program that was at its lowest peak and brought it some success, some happiness. So, first and foremost, love you, Sam Pittman. Hope you're. I don't think retirement. I mean, maybe you'll go somewhere else. I hope at least. It's good for the sport, but this is Bobby's time, right? This is his showing, and I'm very excited about this prospect. I mean, I don't like obviously how things ended. Don't like a lot of the things he did last time, but in terms of football, this guy knows what he's doing, and I just don't think Arkansas has the pieces to win in Neyland. Unfortunately, for all the Arkansas fans out there, I'm sorry. I think Tennessee wins. But what I do think you see, and this might be more important than the scoreboard, and I know, it sounds like, oh, it's such a cheesy line to say, whatever. But in all seriousness, you're going to see an Arkansas team that is motivated to show up. And if they could pull any upset on the season, I think this or LSU would be that upset. And I think that this team is going to play with heart. They're going to play inspired. They got 3 new defensive coaches that were hired within the bye week. I know it's a short thing to get the scheme in there, but I'm telling you right now, this team's going to have heart. It's not going to be a blowout. Tennessee wins, but I think they win by 10. But this Arkansas team is going to say, this is what the future could be. Maybe Bobby Petrino should get another shot. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm on the Bobby train yet, just because, like I said last time, and he does have a pretty bad reputation. But if he's matured, if this is truly his redemption arc, I'm for it. Give me the Vols. Close though.
Now, to the game you and me have been waiting to get to.
Oh
I
yes.
don't need to bring up the statistics here for this because Cole probably spit them out verbatim. Um, LSU plays the North Sellers and the South Carolina Gamecocks. Um, LSU's lack of being able to stop a running quarterback the last 3 seasons should worry every fan that wears the purple and yellow, even remotely likes LSU. That should worry you
Yep.
because Sellers is going to run up and down, tear our asses to shreds. And I'm saying this as I'm going to be completely biased in this probably, but Garrett Nussmeier's hurt. We can't run the football. The defense is gassed by the third quarter because they're out there so much because we're having such questionable play calling. We just had this conversation with Brian Kelly literally last game.
Yeah.
We're not hearing well, we had a good week of practice. We're really looking forward to hosting the Gamecocks this week. Uh, but they're coming down to our bayou, and we're going to show them what we do, what the bayou Bengals do to a couple chickens. So go tag it. We're not getting that. We're getting. Well, guys, I really, I could do a better job coaching. The coaching could do a better job coaching. We need to execute better, and it's on me. It's on me. Brian Kelly, how many times can you say that? I've been working on that accent. I'm working on
I
that, by the
lost
way.
count. By the way, I love it.
I've been working on that. But how many times have you said that after a loss? That's on me. Or after a close win, that shouldn't be close. That's on me. Bro, at some point, there's already a large part of the fan base that doesn't like you. I've been one of the few guys to stave off from saying fire the guy. One of the very few. So as much as I don't want to blame, like I'm starting to blame you now because, yeah, your offensive play calling's been atrocious. The defense has been amazing. Oh my God. Where was this last year?
Yes.
If this was here last 2 years ago, we're a natty team.
Oh yeah, easy.
2 years ago, we're a natty team. Last year, we're probably an SEC championship team. I don't think we win the natty, but we're definitely in the playoff.
Agreed.
Cole, give me a run out here. I gotta use the bathroom quick, so talk as long as you want.
All right, you got it. Well, folks, this has been long overdue, and thank God for Boneheads giving me this opportunity because I've been waiting to talk LSU football for a while, and honest LSU football at that. We've been dancing around with all these excuses and with some truths. We talked about Brian Kelly's 3 years in, 2 years in, 1 year's in, whatever. Give him time. Okay, we gave him time. Gave him the first year. He won the West. And then he lost embarrassingly to Georgia and whoever else. I think A&M was on that list, and a few other games. Next year, he's given one of the greatest offenses to ever touch the field of college football. Had no defense, and then the year after that, I don't even know what to say about that team. That was really, really questionable. Well, this year, you're given the best of both worlds. Amazing defensive talent, amazing offensive talent, and it's disappointing. You beat Florida by 10. You had 5 picks. And one of those picks was a pick 6, by the way. How do you only win by 10 when you have 5 turnovers? It doesn't make any sense. Then, and yeah, as you could tell from my expression, not the happiest about 2 weeks ago, you go to the Grove. You start out good. I mean, by good, you scored the first touchdown, and then you give up 17 unanswered before halftime. Yikes. So, enough about the recap per se. I mean, I'm sure anybody who has watched any LSU game this year, and being a fan, this sucks. I mean, it tears so deeply. Um, I think Braden Fiocco, he was a defensive tackle back. He was a freshman in 2017. He's got a YouTube channel, had a phenomenal video on this, and I'd recommend all you to go watch it. When Coach O was here, and this was also Chucha's point, we had a set standard. We had an identity. Teams knew, oh boy, we're in a dogfight. We're playing LSU. They're physical. They have a set identity on offense. They have a defense that is going to hit hard and keep them in the game, regardless of what the year looked like. And now, with Brian Kelly, look at the downgrades. We have no offensive line at all. Like, it's embarrassing. We have no offensive play calling that makes any sense whatsoever. I mean, you have the best wide receiving core in college football, and yet you don't let them be used. And then you have Van Buren as the backup, who's not injured and is actually quite good. And you're still playing Nuss because
Loyalty? Question mark.
it's gotta be. It's gotta be loyalty. It doesn't make any sense. Then you have a run game. You have 2 of the most explosive backs in college football in Harlem Berry and Caden Durham, and there's no run blocking. There's no innovation to get them the ball. It's pretty ugly. Then you got Bauer Sharp. Is that you? Yeah, we got a tight end room that it's there, but it's not there. We use them sometimes, and then we get like a 10, 20-yard gain, and then we say that's too much success. Let's go back to doing things that don't make any sense, like running the ball to the left side out of the pistol, running the ball up the middle where there's a whole defensive line that bursts through. There's a 3-man rush that actually just got through. If you watch the Ole Miss game, that was quite embarrassing. I still don't know how that happens. And then you got a quarterback who has regressed worse than any quarterback I've ever seen ever. Yeah, I think you're right. I think he's got to be. There's got to be some sort of injury.
You can tell there's no zip on his ball. None whatsoever.
No.
A dude that can throw piss missiles is throwing Peyton Manning lobs.
Exactly. It makes no sense other than he's got to be hurt, and they just lied about it. On to the only good. Well, actually, there's 2 good parts: defense and special teams. We'll talk about that for a minute. Defense, exciting. I mean, you got Pyburn, you got Peyton, you got Perkins, you got Whit Weeks, you got Zach Weeks, you got West Weeks. Yes, there's 3 weeks on the team for record. Mansour Durlane. You got PJ Woodland, you got Tamarcus Cooley, you got AJ Halsey. I mean, that whole defense is exciting, not to mention Bernard Gooden, who was the talk of the offseason, and he's done great. Um, I mean, that defense, any other team, it's a natty contending team just on that defense alone. If there was any sort of offense, we would win a national title this year. I don't have any doubt. And then the special teams. Grant Chadwick, transfer from Middle Tennessee State's been phenomenal at punter. Damian Ramos has been very solid at field goal, at kicker, at field goal, kicking field goals. He's been great. But enough about the LSU talk. Let's talk about the South Carolina team. You got Lenore Sellers, who has been 50-50 this year, more inconsistent than anybody thought. I thought this guy was. I didn't think Heisman, to be fair. I mean, he just never struck me as that. But I thought he was at least a top 3 quarterback in the SEC. And he really just hasn't found a stride this year. Which, don't worry, this is kind of the perfect time if the stereotype stays. If he can run still, and we haven't figured that out, then by all means, you're in for a good time, buddy. The wide receivers, they've been kind of subpar from what I've seen. I haven't seen a whole lot of South Car this year. I'll be bluntly honest, but from the parts that I have seen, their wideouts, they've been okay. Run game kind of seems to be Lenore Sellers and Lenore Sellers only, but don't worry, again, depending on how that goes, that might continue. And
Mm.
the defense, it's been so-so. I mean, there's been games where it's looked really good, then you have other games where it's like, are you kidding me? And so it's somewhere in between. Shane Beamer needs this game, to put it bluntly. He really needs to win this football game or at least be very close to show the South Carolina faithful, hey, we are still in it for this season. Not necessarily a national title, but we are in the contention to make a very good bowl game and show the recruits, yes, you should still come here. Yes, believe in the process. Um, with all that being said, I'm going to go with LSU in this game, but it's going to be close.
Yeah.
It's going to be really, really stupidly close. This game should be a blowout in all reality. Sorry, South Guard. It should, though. But our offense is going to do the best it can to keep you in the game, mainly by running up the middle again and getting absolutely nowhere, or just something stupid. I'm sure Nuss will throw it into triple coverage again or something. But yeah, don't worry. You're going to get taken care of. Shane Beamer's going to get what he wants in terms of a close. Well, I don't know if he wants to lose per se. I don't think any coach does, but a close game at least. So yeah, it'll be your typical LSU Brian Kelly show where there's no identity, there's no physicality, there's not a lot of excitement, but somehow we find a way to win. Yeah,
Somehow.
even though I just want to state this, and this might be horrible to say as a fan. I really kind of want South Gar to win this game. I know it might sound weird. I'm not going to pick them. I think LSU will win. But there's a part in me that really wants South Gar to win this game. So Scott Woodward can go, hey, yeah, Brian Kelly, we kind of messed up with this whole thing. We can cut you loose and go get Kurt Signetti or Dan. Well, I don't think you'll get Lanning from Oregon,
Norvell.
but yeah, just please get somebody in there who wants to actually win. I'm so sick of this Brian Kelly joker. I'm so sorry for saying this, but it drives me nuts. And also, just to rekindle on one of our conversations when Kelly was hired, Chooch and I, we were talking about this. We were on an Xbox party chat the day he was hired, and we were saying, my initial reaction was it's Les Miles 2.0. And I just want to say, I apologize to Les Miles because this
I
is
never
not
thought I'd
Les
do that.
Miles 2.0.
I never
This
thought I'd
is
hear you
not.
apologize to Wes ever.
And I will apologize to Ed Ogeron too.
What do
He
you mean?
had this team. He had this team more ready to go than Brian Kelly could ever dream. And yeah, this was a massive mistake. Even if they win more games, even if they show out and do something. I'm sorry, Brian Kelly is just not fit for the Bayou. I'm sick of this. Please get this Joker off my screen. And but going back to that initial conversation, we did look at the positives. By the way, we weren't haters from day one. I just
No, we
throw that
weren't.
out there. We said Brian Kelly would produce good tight ends and good offensive line and a good run game. So far, 1 for 3. I'll give him Mason Taylor. That's it.
What
That's the
about Will
only
Campbell?
good thing I could say. Oh, sorry.
Will Campbell, some of the pieces that are there now in the O line are. I mean, I just don't think they can block the run.
Yeah.
I mean, the pat. Okay,
That Brad Davis.
I'll give you. The pass protection's been a little giantsy at times,
Right.
but I think that just there's no leverage with the run game, none whatsoever. Hell, I mean, we don't even call it anyways to begin with, but no, I think we win a close one too. I don't think this is a blowout like it should be. I think we, I think both teams, I think both teams' defenses are their highlights. I think that's what we'll
Yeah.
see. Now, a couple talking points for the college football season. First one is, folks, is there a better answer in the swamp than Billy Napier? He seems to play better when his job's on the line.
Yeah.
Don't get that. But this is a Florida team last year that lost what 1 for 4. Then all of a sudden they're one of the hottest teams in college football in the last 6 weeks of the season.
They won like 6 in a row. Yeah.
And right now they're what? They're 2-4, 2-3, 2-3.
Yeah. Big win over Texas.
Right. And now you're in Kyle Field this week. And then you're home against Mississippi State the week after, and then home against Georgia. Are you looking at this going, hell, if we lose a close game to A&M at home, we can beat Miss State. If we lose a close game to A&M on the road, we can win that game against Miss State. And Georgia's not perfect, 100%. We learned that against Bama. Georgia's not as good as people thought they were. I mean, at that point, you're looking at 4-3. You're at Kentucky. You're at Ole Miss. Those are wild card games. Home against
Very much
Tennessee.
so.
And then you have to play your arch nemesis in Florida State. At home, though. So, I mean, honestly, they could lose the rest of their games, but they could also win them.
Yeah.
So, is Billy Napier the answer? Like, are we seeing his talent finally start to come through, or is this like another Brian Kelly where us in Florida are going to be parallels of each other?
Well, you bring up a good point because heading into this year, I thought Billy Napier's got it finally. DJ Lagway's there. Dallas Wilson, which I'm not going to lie, that injury, I mean, he looked really good against Texas. He was out kind of for most of the year. It kind of hurt, but now he's back, so we'll see what that looks like full tempo. Um, man, I'm so 50-50 with Billy because I like the recruiting, the portal, and just a lot of things that he's done in that respect. But I think he's got to give up the play calling responsibilities because that seems to be the thing that is holding him back. If he could get an OC, I think he would be okay. But he doesn't seem to want to give up the play calling responsibility. So I think he is just not the guy. He's a good transitional coach. I don't think he's kind of the answer in the swamp, but who is, you might be thinking. And I got two answers. Jed Fish from Washington or the USF coach. I would be very interested to see if they got the talent of Florida, they got the prestige of Florida, the conference recognition like Florida. I think they could turn it around. I'm sorry, Billy. I tried to give you this year. I don't know. If you beat A&M, we'll talk about this again, but I just don't think they can. And by the way, I did want to add this. People, get off the Florida hype train, okay? I know they beat Texas, but guess what? Texas is not as good as you think, okay? I'm sorry to break it to you. And I do think they're going to beat Oklahoma, by the way. I do. But, hear me out. They're not that good. In Florida, they were excited. They got their coveted wideout back. It was in the swamp. There was a lot of excitement. They're not going to do the same thing at Texas A&M. Okay, they're just not. Get off the excitement train now. And I don't think the Texas win alone is enough to save Napier's job. So we'll see. Maybe I'm wrong about it, but that's just the way I feel. The current situation in the swamp. But if you were the Florida GM, if you were Strickland, what would you say, Jude?
Um, honestly, I think um, I mean, I'd be like Billy. I mean, they've done the same thing the last what 3 years. So what are we doing here, man? Like that's something's got to give. You're the University of Florida head coach. We shouldn't be 2-3 to start every season. Um, but also, why are we? Oh God, hold on. Sorry. Um, why
Okay.
why aren't these guys? Why aren't these guys performing like they should? Why isn't your coaching like it should? Like, do I need to take the play calling away from you and give it to your coordinators? Because if that's the case, then give me the coordinators. Let's let the coordinators try this. Like we can try this a game, and if it works out great, then we're staying with it until it doesn't. And I don't know. I would like to see. I'd like to see it because I mean, college football is fun when its blue bloods are good.
True.
Like like Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, LSU, Alabama. I mean, hell, A&M,
Florida
Arkansas,
State,
Florida
Miami.
State, Miami, Ohio State. I hate to say it, Michigan. Hell, Michigan State. Football, Penn State, USC.
USC.
I'll even put Oregon and Washington in there.
Heck,
College football
Texas,
is
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech, Oklahoma State. Hell, Baylor, Kansas State. College football is so much better when you guys are good.
Facts.
When every time you guys play each other, it's this could be a preview of a national championship or this game has so much implications. That's when the sport is at its most beautiful. And I wish it would get back to that. But
Right.
speaking of trouble in paradise, um, we got trouble in the Keystone State at the Keystone State University with them Nittany Kitties. Um,
Ooh.
James Franklin. I know you wanted to talk about this, so I'm going to let
Yes.
you talk about this. You and me have been saying this for a long time that he can't win big games. We've been saying it for
15 years now?
a very long time, and people are finally starting to see, guys, James Franklin just isn't that good of a coach. Cool, he beat Ohio State with Saquon Barkley, uh,
Yeah.
Chris Godwin, Fryermuth.
Yeah, or no, I don't think Fryermuth was that year.
Anyways, I'm pretty sure there were
Trace
four.
McSorley.
Yeah, there was a mixed. Yeah, yeah. Throw it on a time. Yeah. Anyways, um, just in
Blast the
case of
song.
Briarwood, I'm playing number 9. um, I don't. How can I don't understand how? But Mike Gundy, I'll use perfect example. I don't understand how a school can be okay with, especially with that recruiting ability, that deep of pockets, that atmosphere, and what you did for. I mean, well, I'm going to say the evolution of college football was from 2005 to 2020, right before COVID. I think
Right.
college football evolved at a pace where you could say the current standard of college football was set when you and me were kids.
Yep.
So seeing Texas Tech be good now, but Oklahoma State suck hurts. But I never got why these schools were always okay with 4 loss, 5 loss, 3 loss seasons after you guys are going 4-0, 5-0, 6-0, 7-0, and then you're just losing out and you're like, oh, we made a bowl game, it's okay. No, no. Now, granted, that Penn State team with Saquon that one year got, I think, screwed out of a championship appearance, 100%. I think they could have won it because could you find me a better team that year?
I mean, they would have given any team a run for their money. I don't think there's much of a question about that.
But what is it time to move on? Is it finally time for Penn State to say, you know what, we want to get back to winning? But also, I was looking at, I'm in the Penn State forums. Someone was saying it took till Joe Paterno his 10th, 12th season at Penn State to have a winning record against top 10 teams. But like that was
Well,
Joe Pa was literally rebuilding an organization.
right.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
know. Sorry.
this is one of those things, right, Juge, to where it's just like you're in a catch-22. And I think Penn State is so afraid to let Franklin go because, if you look at what Penn State was beforehand, you look at Bill O'Brien, because he was the guy there, if I'm not mistaken, before Franklin. Franklin comes in from Vandy. Um, and everybody's wondering, like, okay, what is this guy going to do? He did fairly well at Vandy. What is the next step looking like? And then he had some success. Obviously, you mentioned the whiteout game where they beat Ohio State and they beat Michigan one year. They made the Big Ten title game a few times. They just haven't been able to put it all together under Franklin. And I think that has a lot to do with, as we both have talked about a million times, the big game atmosphere. I don't know what it is with Franklin, but he's okay, maybe, or the team's okay with just not playing in those moments. And I think a lot of it has to do with just the decision making in those games that really screws up a lot. If you look at last year's Ohio State game, there were so many questionable calls. Like, what are you doing? What are you thinking? Um, and even when they had I think it was first and goal at the goal line last year, and they couldn't get, I think it was 3 yards to tie that game against Ohio State. And then if you look at even the most recent example in that double OT loss, but then even the most famous game against UCLA where they looked run over, man. I don't know if the team was just that deflated from the Oregon game or if they were just looking past UCLA into the bigger part of the season, whatever that was, but they just got ran over. They couldn't stop a pass. I mean, I just have no idea where you even go as a program. They got Northwestern this week. What happens now? And I think ultimately, if Franklin goes 10-2, or maybe even 9-3, they'll keep him because they're fine with this level at Penn State. Maybe not the fans, but the team. Because realistically, I think they're going, okay, well, what do you want us to do? I mean, there's not really that many elite coaches in college football anymore. And as much as I hate to say it, it's just the truth. I mean, you got guys like, um, as we talked about earlier, you got Signetti, you got who's the guy at Oregon? Why is it Lanning? And you got
I mean, you could argue
you know,
Cristobal
yeah,
right now.
Well,
Right now,
oh,
I
it hurts to
mean, let
say
Miami,
that.
or is that just all Carson Beck?
I think it's Carson Beck.
2019 Joe Burrow.
I think it's Beck, and I think it's C.J. Daniels and in company over there. I don't think it's him as much, but I think Mike Norvell's better than people will say, and obviously Lane Kiffin. I know that draws some boos. A lot of people don't want to give Kiffin
guy.
credit, but that guy, he's an amazing coach. I don't care what anybody says. And Kirby Smart. And yes,
Hmm.
I know Clemson's been bad this year, but I still think Dabo's a top guy. I just think he's really had some rough times. Um, but James Franklin, I think if they move on from him, Penn State is so afraid to like, what is next? Where do we find a guy who can replicate that level of success here? And you got to be willing to blow it up. Yeah, go ahead.
I have an answer, teacher.
Sure.
It's simple. You go to North Dakota State, you go to South Dakota State, or the ODU coach, and you say, "I want you to come coach my program. I've seen what you've done with these. Now, mind you, if you get South Dakota State, North Dakota State, you're getting a perennial. I grant it's FCS. It's FCS football. Something. I swear, I promise you, they'd hang with some of the best teams in the country if you gave them a year or two to recruit like that heavy.
I don't
Frankly, I
doubt
think
that.
I'm going to say this real quick. Big Sky needs to come back to the FBS. Just saying, get Montana, Montana State, North Dakota State, South Dakota State. Like imagine those guys up there with Idaho, Wyoming, or
Yes.
just Wyoming in general. That'd be dope. But
I would take it.
I mean, do you go find one of these guys that's coaching like maybe after Navy decides? I mean, the head coach is probably staying at Navy for a while. They have luck like that, but they're 5-0. Do you go find one of these academy coaches, or do you go? Well, I think I can look in the FCS level now because it's about the same. And the field's tightened up so much now, right?
Yeah.
I think you can get away with going. Well, I mean, he's coaching a he's got two losses in the Sun Belt or the American, but like those two losses were to a Big Ten or an ACC or an SEC team. Why not?
Well, let me ask you this though, because I do, and believe me, I'm a gambling man when it comes to this in this sense. But you do have more, unfortunately, signs of this kind of thing not working out. If you look at, if we were talking about Sunbelt Billy earlier, came from the Raging Cajuns over to Florida, didn't quite work out, hasn't worked out yet. You have Washington State, who took I think it was South Dakota State's head
Yeah.
coach, and yeah, I mean, we're seeing this play out to where teams have made the move, but it just hasn't went. But then also, you see Kurt Signetti, the JMU to Indiana thing, that's went incredibly well. So it's like, maybe this could be the answer, and I love it personally. If I was a top tier guy, I'd give it a shot. I mean, what do you have to lose? Do you want to stay in college football purgatory where it's like, okay, I get the first round, even the second round, but I'm never going to be a legitimate championship team? Or, am I afraid to blow it up? Because right now, look at Penn State. They're 10-2 consistently or 9-3. And that's okay by the standards of like, okay, we could still draw in revenue and, we'll never be anything big, but, we'll keep the fans happy, quote unquote. We'll win a big bowl game or we'll get ran over by Ole Miss, but we don't talk about that. But yeah, I mean, and it also, if I was Penn State, hear me out. I'm making Josh Heupel say no. The guy has done wonders at Tennessee. I'm saying, come here and tell me to my face, to the contract, no.
Mm-hmm.
I think you could realistically get him away from Tennessee. I think you could
Yeah.
realistically, give. I know some folks might say like Lincoln Riley or something. I wouldn't want Lincoln Riley, but give me Josh Heupel, man. To make him tell me no, he would be my guy to go to for Penn State or Kurt Signetti. I'm telling you, I know his name's been brought up a lot for a coaching change, but hear me out. You think he wants to stay at Indiana?
I
I
mean,
don't know.
why not though? You have it made.
It's true, but can he win the big thing? I know it's so young in his career you can't see it, but he
Like
took the leap JMU to Indiana. Now if he
and,
goes Indiana to Penn State, oh, give him Penn State's roster, they win the Natty. I'm saying,
and he's one of those finer detail guys too. Like he
yeah,
he he knows all the little things right. He makes sure all his guys do the little things right. It's all right, guys. This is what we did wrong this game. This next team
yes,
does this really well at getting you to do this. So we're gonna practice for that and all the shit we just messed up last game.
exactly.
Kurt Signet is one of the greatest minds of college football. I've been saying that since before JMU got called up to the FBS. I've believed in the guy since then. The guy that he by the way he handpicked his replacement was the Holy Cross head coach. Handpicked his replacement and said,
Wow.
"Here you go. Here's the JMU team that had one bad year, which was last year. They lost like 4 games. Besides that, they're back to their normal selves." Um, but this is now to our next conversation here. This is the one that I
Right.
was really looking forward to. What's going on with Chapel Bill and Chapel Hill? Um, North Carolina suspends their cornerback coach Armin Hawkins for recruiting violations. Well, I believe you said that earlier to me today. I just found
Yeah,
it here.
that's what
Hawkins, this is
ESPN, I think.
first. Yep. This is also after a bunch of news surrounding Bill Belichick talking about a buyout. And then the general manager of the University of North Carolina Tar Heels football team sent out a thing to donors saying this is a rebuilding year. I Did Mac Brown run this program to the ground that bad,
Ooh, that's a
or
good question.
is Bill washed
Could it be a little bit of both, you think?
with some piss poor quarterback play? Yes.
Yeah. I mean,
Yep.
let's look at it this way. Max Johnson and Gio Perez from South Alabama. Those were your two quarterbacks coming into this year. And this is, I like Gio Perez. I really did. I thought he was a quarterback that could get a look here, maybe do well at UNC. He didn't. Yeah. No, he did not. And Max Johnson just might be one of the worst 5-star rankings we've ever seen.
Toilet flush that guy.
Yeah. um, and plus, we might get in trouble talking about this because, Bill's girlfriend, she's quite tech savvy. She said, don't talk about that. Those are like, quote, the one time. So we
About
might be
who?
in trouble.
About who?
Bill's girlfriend.
Well, what am I allowed to talk about again? I'm confused. It's almost like I don't care what she thinks. Try me, bitch. um,
Mic drop. Oh, that's good.
picks microphone up off desk, drops it. But the Tar Heels are 2-3 this season and have been outscored 120-33 in their 3 games against Power. Now it's Power 4 competition.
That's crazy to think of. And also, one of those teams was Clemson too, and they've been horrible. So crazy to think about that. UNC showed out that horribly. Those three really bad losses came from, the week one game with oh my goodness, who was it? It slips my mind.
TCU,
TCU.
where you lost
Yep,
48-14.
TCU.
The only 2 teams you've beaten, Charlotte and
Charlotte
Richmond.
and Richmond.
Richmond's
Okay,
fighting.
that was the other team. Who
You've
was the
got two.
second loss? It was it Pitt?
UCF 34-9.
UCF. Okay, that's who I couldn't think about. Scott Frost beats Bill Belichick in a football game. Who would have thought of that headline?
And then they go to Cal next week. And then they play Virginia, and then they're at Syracuse. And then they're home against Stanford, at Wake Forest, home against Duke, at Wow, they literally go home away, home away, home away, home away, home away. Wow, that's actually a nice schedule. I ain't even mad.
Yeah.
That's it never happens anymore. But
No.
I don't
Usually it's 3 games.
right. So are we going with it's a combination of both with piss poor quarterback play? The defense doesn't look like they care, and the defense doesn't look like they care.
Well, the thing that I want to ask, and this is more so to the nation. By no means am I a Bill Belichick defender. Don't get me wrong, but when did we judge coaches who had this bad of a rebuild job off of 1 year? Okay, this doesn't make much sense. Okay, like come on. If he goes 6 wins this year, makes a bowl game, I consider that a successful year. I know it
Hell,
sounds
5 at
crazy.
this point.
Sorry, what, Pat?
Hell, 5 wins at this point.
Yeah, I'd take 5 wins at that because you got to look at the external factors here, right? You have maybe a good running back and a good tight end on the offense, and that's kind of it. I mean, no disrespect to any of the players, but like realistically, the wideouts haven't been very impressive. Quarterback play's been very bad. O line, yeah, I don't even really know y'all had one, to be honest. They haven't been good. And then defense, uh, did y'all hire Matt House by any chance? I mean, just yeah,
Hasn't
I
been
haven't
good.
really seen a defense. Yeah, especially week one. Oh my goodness, DCU was running up and down the field. I thought it was a practice or something. Quite honestly. So yeah, I think give Bill some time to get some guys in there. Recruiting wise, I haven't been able to look at the standings yet for Bill. But I'm also curious about the transfer portal, where he ends up attacking in this time, because that's what's going to tell the story about, people are already wanting him fired. There's been talk about the buyout already, and I'm like, it's 1 year, guys. Let's pump the brakes on this whole thing. I understand Bill's a little bit older, but I'm telling you, North Carolina, they're in the hands of a guy who wants to win, and we'll see how that goes. But definitely, I think it's way too early to make any drastic things. Not to mention, you have a cornerback coach, or it was quarterback coach that got suspended, right?
Cornerback coach that got suspended for the
Y-
recruiting violations, which is going to hurt them even more. But also, I think people
Exactly.
expected Belichick to come in and be like, "Oh, well, year one, we need this, 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 and this. Kids, this isn't free agency, nor can you make trades during the season. You have to wait until your season's
Exactly.
over to add. You can practice all you want, think you need something. You can try and fix it, but then when you fix it, you're like, oh, I didn't. I actually needed the opposite.
Yeah.
So let him figure out what he needs. Give him some time to get his recruiting classes in. What's the biggest thing I've always said, Cole? Let him get his classes in. Let him take a look at
Time
the
with the
talent.
yep.
Let him do his thing, and I think North Carolina's going to be just fine. Do you think Dabo's done this year at Clemson since I got you here?
Yeah, I think so. Unfortunately, here's the thing with him, right? Like, you are recovering from DJ Ugandale, and then you have Cade Klubnik, who is just he hasn't looked the part, man. I'm very disappointed in Cade. I thought this guy was going to come out gunslinging this year and really exciting, being able to extend plays. He has shown nothing of the sort. Um, they have like one wide receiver in particular who's really doing anything. He was a walk on, I forget his name. You got, the run game, which doesn't look very promising at all in a defense that is just really questionable, even though it's a new coordinator, so you got to give that a little bit of time. But uh, I think the fans, like, I was reading the Clemson forum pages a few weeks this year, especially after the Georgia Tech loss, and they're like, "Yeah, we're done with this guy. Get Dabo out of here." A lot of them, but then you have the other group, the small minority that was like, "No, give him time. He's not, it's not all his fault and these things." But I also want to know how much of that's on Riley, their offensive coordinator. How badly, is his play calling kind of harming Clemson as well? And I think he's kind of the unsung guy under the radar. He's been there for like 3 years, I think, and the Clemson
They've
offense
sucked
has
all
just
3
not
years.
looked great. So,
They've sucked. They've sucked all 3 years.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. But you got anything else you want to talk about? Touch on?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I mean, what a stacked show. We covered
Yeah,
everything.
yeah. We got a lot in there. That was juicy. It was nice to just talk football and sports again with my buddy Cole. Um, Actually, I want to give an update on the baseball game quick. Also, oh my lord, USF won 63-36.
They were struggling last I saw. They scored 63.
Uh huh.
USF is back. Send the word out there.
USF scored 28 points in the third quarter.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my lord! I was expecting to see like them lost. Oh, also everyone, the Aces are the WNBA champions. I know no one cares, but Aces are WNBA champs. Harvard beat Cortland. I mean, beat Cornell today, 34-10. Fresno State is losing to Colorado State right now, 35-21. Washington's beating Rutgers by
I
5,
okay.
34-19. And Detroit and Seattle are tied at 2 in the bottom of the 11th. 2 outs, no
Wow,
one
that
on.
game's going.
2 outs, no one on. NBA
Who's
preseason
batting?
started. Josh Naylor.
Okay.
2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs.
A lot of twos.
A lot of twos. But thank you, folks. Awesome to be back. This will be posted tonight for tomorrow. So hopefully we can get to you guys before the college football game day will. That being said, Cole, thank you again as always. I appreciate you coming on and joining me. It's great talking football with you as always. We can have a great college talk as you usually do. Um, he'll be a staple here once in a while. I know he can't make every show, so I'll be gone next week. After that, folks, we'll have more episodes. Hopefully, we can get Cole and Noah here at the same time, talk some football. So, because trust me, when the three of
Oh,
us are
that would
talking,
be
folks,
great.
you want that. You want that. But hopefully, by then, we'll have the championship series kind of started, figured out for the MLB. We'll have a better picture of what's going on with the NFL and the college scene here, and maybe we'll have some more news on coaching changes and recruiting changes and other stuff. So, but everyone, thank you for listening. Cole, again, thank you. Tell these people where they can find you or what they can do with you, talk to you, whatever.
Oh man, so I've been actually off of everything. I
I
don't
know.
know if
That's
you
why I
can
was like,
find me on anything.
I had to talk, and
Oh
I was
man,
like, oh yeah, he's not on anything.
well, I just want to say truly an honor and a blessing to be back on this show. And I wish Noah could have went on. Obviously, he had some things he had to do, so unfortunately we couldn't get in. But Pat, what a blessing to be back here. And Boneheads Nation, you're in good hands. Pat is always so solid with everything, and Noah, whenever he's here, he's lights out. So I look forward. I love listening to the show, and whatever I can be, I definitely want to be back here again. So thank you all so much, and God bless.
All right, folks. Now, I forgot the old bonehead sign off, but we're going to do it this way, anyways. That's Cole. I'm Patrick. This has been Boneheads. We're out.